cut deep into the walls of the Sphinx enclosure. West consulted Boston University geologist Robert Schoch. His intuition was confirmed. These vertical fissures were unmistakable signs of precipitation-induced erosion. They were the telltale sign of exposure to years and years of rain. But it hasn't rained in the Sahara Desert since before the Ice Age. Could this be proof that the Sphinx, or at least the Sphinx enclosure, was the product of an even older civilization, predating the catastrophic events at the end of the last Ice Age?
We believe that our Sphinx theory, the water weathering of the Sphinx, is evidence of that earlier civilization. And until or unless the water weathering of the Sphinx is adequately explained within the context of accepted chronology of ancient Egypt, it remains a thorn in the side of orthodoxy, because until it is explained, it seems to suggest that, or very strongly suggests, that the Sphinx was there prior to those catastrophic events that put the rest of the civilization down. And there are other bits and pieces of geological evidence and architectural evidence that we believe supports the theory of an advanced, or let us say again carefully within inverted quotes, an Atlantean civilization. But this is the big issue, whether or not there was such a civilization. We have, of course, on the textual side, we have Plato's account of Atlantis that supposedly came to him from his grandfather Solon, who himself got it from an Egyptian priest. This would be somewhere around 6th or 7th centuries BC, somewhere that kind of area. And of course we also have throughout the world, around the world, everywhere, in the higher or more sophisticated civilizations, as well as in the mythologies and legends of widely separated traditional societies, we have accounts. Virtually all of them have accounts of a deluge. A deluge is a commonplace, and in many of them, if not in all, there are also references to vanished civilizations, vanished high levels of civilization, golden ages in the past, and the ubiquity of these stories is enough to make, I would believe, any serious scholar at least hold an open mind to the possibility that these advanced civilizations did indeed exist, and that they did indeed go down or disappear virtually entirely under the catastrophic conditions prevailing for several thousands of years following the event, whatever it may have been, or events that initiated the melting of the ice and the dissolution of the last ice age.
After years of research and study, John not only brought new life to the work of Schwaller, but has himself become an icon for a new generation of esotericists and symbolists. In addition to the bombshell water weathering theory, he has become a veritable compendium of symbolist theory and history. His research is ongoing, and to this day his on-site tours and lectures continue to be a wellspring of revelations about this ancient land and the magical secrets it still holds. As we join West for a symbolist tour of Egypt, we begin to glimpse the magic and mystery still waiting here. Encoded into the ruins are the preserved seeds of a technology and mentality that, by comparison to even modern standards, are at the far edge of comprehension. When seen through symbolist eyes, the revelations of the ancient mystery schools come to life again, often causing a personal transformation from which there is no return.
Florence Nightingale, surprisingly enough, one of the most perceptive of the visitors to Egypt, in 1850 wrote, "One wonders that people can come back from Egypt and live lives the way they lived them before." This proves to be the case 150 years later. It's very rare that anybody who takes on 16 days in Egypt on one of these magical Egypt tours comes back home unchanged.
Far from being a lost or dead technology, the temples continue to perform their function of inducing initiation. It is difficult to distinguish between witnessing the majesty and mystery of the temples and participating in the transformative process oneself.
We're confronted by temples, by artwork, by pyramids, by structures that evoke in us a kind of emotion that is very hard to ascribe to mere superstition or romantification or romance. And these temples are based upon principles that are in fact sacred sciences. They are, let us say, the science of immortality, the science of attaining eternal life. And the sacred sciences are a kind of knowledge, very different from our kind of knowledge, but scientific nonetheless, based upon readily communicable principles, and these principles embodied in these spectacular temples, tombs, pyramids, artwork, and so on. These principles evoke in us that sense of the eternal, of the divine, of the sacred, and they are, we might say, all of these temples are means of accessing that higher consciousness that we, by birthright, have access to, but if left to our own devices, leading our normal workaday lives, we don't readily access, and in many cases don't access at all.
An exposure to the sacred science residing here often causes spiritual stirrings and many other phenomena normally considered supernatural. It is sometimes as if this old magic is transmitted to us through our eyes. Its spell is cast through sacred geometry and volume, the harmonic proportions and hieroglyphs speaking to our normal faculties while operating simultaneously on a higher octave to awaken and reconnect us to our higher selves, an experience sometimes referred to as waking up.
The sacred sciences that fueled or that underpinned these temples involved mathematics, philosophy, religion, art, and in fact, ancient Egypt, perhaps the greatest of these ancient civilizations, or in any event, it's the ancient civilization to which we have most access. It's left us the greatest legacy of sacred art and architecture. This was a profound doctrine that fused art, religion, philosophy, and science into one inextricable whole, whereas in our society, art, religion, philosophy, and science are separate disciplines with little or no relationship to each other. In ancient Egypt, they were inextricably entwined, so there was no art that wasn't religious, no religion that wasn't philosophical, no philosophy that wasn't scientific, no science that wasn't art. When we are in the presence of one of these Egyptian temples, we are, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, put into the presence of the divinity or the principle to which that temple is consecrated, and whether we like it or not, we respond often with awe and wonder. And this awe and wonder is not, let us say, an artifact of our susceptible imagination or romanticism on our part. It's an example of the high science of the ancients, a sacred science.
The sacred science, the timeless wisdom of the mystery schools, the secrets of the invisible college, and the keys to powerful magic have been preserved, enshrined behind a veil of harmony, proportion, myth, and symbolism. It's said that symbolism is the first veil. The initiate or student of the mysteries begins his path with this most important tool. Through an understanding of symbolism, the old wisdom is revealed. The symbol speaks to a different part of the brain than does ordinary writing or language. The right brain, the intuitive, non-verbal, visual brain, which deals with spatial and abstract relationships, with intuition and the subconscious. The part of the brain that is not bound by rational linear logic. Perhaps the part of the brain which is host to our higher selves, our innate divinity. The enigmatic language of symbolism serves as a bridge between the two modes or polarities of intelligence described by Schwaller. As such, it goes beyond language to become a sort of user-evolving technology, as the symbol promotes the cooperation and coordination, the simultaneous and unified interworking of the two hemispheres of the brain. This is one aspect of the alchemical arcanum of the androgyne, the union of the sun and moon. The true dweller in two worlds partakes of a kind of dual intelligence, the separating